I'm in my indoor seed starting room. I'm surrounded by all my tomatoes and my peppers. It's a very exciting time of year. And today I'm gonna share the 3 aspects to great indoor seedling growing. Anyone can grow seedlings. It's as simple as seed into dirt, keep it watered, and away it grows. But it's a little bit more tricky to grow good seedlings. A lot of indoor seedlings, they can become leggy, they're weak, they're not strong plants, and when you put them outside into your garden, they're not gonna thrive. The perk of starting seedlings is that you get that really good head start on your garden, but you aren't going to achieve that if you put out weak, sad seedlings. So you really want to start with the best possible seedlings you can grow. Unfortunately, that's a little bit more complicated, and it also gets even more complicated when you have to do it inside. Plants love the sun. In fact, they need the sun. And so without that vital component, it makes it a little bit more difficult. But with these 3 aspects I'm gonna discuss today, you'll be well on your way to getting the best possible seedlings you can get in your space. The first part is timing. Timing is really, really important when it comes to getting your seedlings growing. I've said that I'm surrounded by my tomatoes and my pepper seedlings, and that's true, but I'm not gonna be showing you guys any lettuce seedlings, any radish seedlings, carrot seedlings. There is only a few things I'm starting right now. My risk of last frost is in the beginning of May. And so as we sit here now, beginning of March, that's about an 8-week window to when I'll be planting things out. Because of that, I'm only starting the things that need that biggest window of a head start in the garden. Stuff like my tomatoes and my peppers, which just really struggle through cold weather. These tiny little babies, they don't look like much right now, but they're also only 1 week old. The trays that I grow my seedlings in will only keep the plants happy for about 4 weeks. At that point, I then have to take these seedlings and pot them into a bigger size pot. I have about 2,500 tomatoes and peppers in here, so that is a massive job. I'm more than happy to do it for these guys who need a little bit of that extra help, but there's no world that I want to give lettuce 8 full weeks potting it up. That stuff, if I can give it a couple weeks head start, get it germinated inside and then into the ground, that's going to be a great use of my time and space. So when you go to start your seedlings, make sure to keep timing in mind. You don't start all of your seedlings at the exact same time. You only start them the window of time that they need. And remember, the less that you do inside, the easier it's going to be for you. Part 2 is equipment. You're going to need to put some thought and probably some money into getting a setup for being able to grow indoors. The first thing I'm gonna talk about for equipment is lighting, because I feel like it's not brought up every single time. And if you're talking about indoor seed starting, you really need to talk about it. A lot of online sources make seed starting seem as simple as just putting it in a window. And honestly, for most people's homes, a window isn't gonna be bright enough. You're gonna need some sort of supplementary light to be able to grow good quality seedlings. That doesn't mean it has to be fancy. It could be as simple as some old shop lights. You know, even a single LED is a pretty small investment if you're gonna be doing a big chunk of seedlings every single year. Over the course of years that you use any light you invest in, the money's gonna be really small when you spread it across the years. My entire setup in this room cost me about $1,000. It's a pretty fancy setup, and it also grows a lot of seedlings. You don't need to spend that much. You can get away with, $50 and be able to grow yourself a couple hundred seedlings every year. If you don't want to make an investment in lighting, that's fine. There's still options, but what you might want to do is you might want to wait until your outdoor temperatures have warmed up a little bit. You know, it's kind of into the 50, 60 range outside. And at that point, you put your seedlings out in the day to grow in the sunlight, and you move them back inside your house at night when it gets cold. Use the light of the sun, but then also use the heat of your house to keep them from, you know, getting those really cold overnight chills, those risks of frost. It's a great option without having to do all this. Another piece of equipment that you're gonna need is trays. I grow in a 72 tray like this. It means they hold 72 seedlings. This is great for maximizing the number of seedlings I can get into my space. Seedlings are happy for, you know, about 4 weeks in here before needing potting up. You don't need to use trays like this though. You can use whatever you have at home. But there is one very important thing that you need to consider, and that is making sure that there's drainage. You can see on these trays all these holes here. That's so the water can flow through. If you don't have good drainage on whatever you're growing your seedlings in, they'll just die. They need to drain out really nicely. When I grow seedlings outdoors, the end of my thought process is making sure that my seedling trays have drainage. But when you're growing indoors, you also need to consider, where's all that drainage flowing to? Here on my racks, if I didn't have anything to catch the water underneath my trays, it would pour down onto my lights, it would destroy my lights. So the other thing that I need to keep in mind is having something to catch that overflowing water. So this is a tray that doesn't have any drainage, and I always make sure to place the seedlings that are having drainage into something like that to hold the water. If you don't want to spend money on seedling trays, that's completely fine. You would be amazed what you can find in your recycling that can be repurposed. Lots of people grow in disposable cups and drill a hole in the bottom. I've in the past used bakery, those like clamshell bakery packaging to place my seedlings in so that they can hold any water that overflows. You also need potting soil. I buy a professional organic potting soil mix, comes in bales, easy for me to buy. They sell it at all the farm stores. The reason why you want to use potting soil over just dirt that you go and grab in the garden is potting soil is, first of all, sterile. There's gonna be no seeds in here other than the seeds that you put in to grow. So you don't have to worry about any weeds popping up. You don't have to worry about any sort of bacterial diseases in your soil getting into your new fresh seedlings. It also is designed to have good drainage. All this white in this specific potting soil is perlite, and that helps to keep your seedlings from getting over wet, holding too much moisture, which can cause the seedling to just rot away and die. So a good quality potting soil really helps for getting those good quality indoor seedlings. Depending on your potting soil, you may need to add fertilizers into it. My specific potting soil doesn't have any sort of fertilizer at all already added, so I make sure to mix in a powdered organic fertilizer. But your potting soil may come pre-mixed. And some potting soils are really hard to get properly moistened when you first go to add water to them. They almost repel water the first time you water them. So you want to make sure to pre-moisten your potting soil before you pot up your seedlings, just to make sure that they're not going to be drying out those first seeds, so you get really good germination and you have really good luck with it. I've had lots of questions about potting soil specifically, so I'm gonna do a standalone video on it and go over how to shop for it yourself. But for all the equipment that I've talked about in this video, I'll throw some links down below in the description to Amazon links to give you ideas of the type of stuff that I'm using. I'm not saying this is what you should buy, it'll give you an idea of what I'm working with so you can go and build your own equipment setup. The third part to growing the best indoor seedlings possible is commitment. Literally, you gotta put a ring on it when it comes to indoor seedlings. You need to be in it for the long haul. No breaks, no vacations. You need to make a serious commitment to them. My seedling room is hot enough that these seedlings can need water every 12 hours. I can't actually leave them for big chunks of time. I'm down here at least twice a day, checking on them, making sure that they're healthy and thriving. Best case scenario for leaving them is I'd overwater them, I'd give them as thorough of a watering as I possibly could, and then I'd have to be back in 24 hours. So if you're starting seedlings right now, but you have plans for spring break, don't bother. Just wait till you get back. They do not like being left on their own. They'll just die, and then all the money and all the effort that you've already invested into them is gone. It's there's no salvaging them. So even if you've done the research and you have the perfect timing, you've invested all of this money into all this like excellent equipment, if you can't be there every single day for your seedlings, you don't want to do indoor seedlings. Unless you have a source for a very, very good plant babysitter, house sitter. I don't. I love my babies too much. I couldn't possibly leave them alone, all my precious little babies. So I make sure to be very committed. I know at this point, this video could be summed up by indoor seedlings are expensive, a pain in the butt, and not worth it, but I don't want to be discouraging. Honestly, this room, all these beautiful little green plant babies, this is the only thing that gets me through March. It is a long, cold, lonely winter up here in Canada, Zone 5, and it really, really saves me to be able to be surrounded by green in this warm, lush room for March and April when I really couldn't be doing much outside otherwise. Doing my own seedlings gets me a really good head start on the season, and it saves me tons of money. I wouldn't be able to have this many tomatoes and peppers for the price that I get them for. To buy, hundreds and hundreds of seedlings from a nursery would be an expense that I couldn't possibly pay for. So having this indoor seedling setup is totally worth it. It seems crazy to say it, but I'm 100% dependent on every single one of those little things. Having bad potting soil, even combined with my commitment, my lighting, and my good trays and getting it all done at the same time, could really be the hiccup that destroys the whole season. So if you've been running into issues, maybe this will show you a new path to getting them to go a little bit better. And for all of you that have no plans at all to grow seedlings, hopefully, sharing a little bit of time here in my seedling room with all of my plant babies over this next month or two will help you get through to the outdoor gardening season the same as me. I know we don't have comments here on this channel, but if you have any further questions about seedling growing, you can always contact Ian and I at the Facebook page and at the Instagram page, and also our email. And all of that info is down in the description box of this video, where I'm also going to include some links to stuff that we have for our setup, just to let you guys see what we're working with, because I know that's another common question. Okay, I'll see you guys next time through March. It's, bad cat, bad cat. Bad cat. One piece of equipment you might want to reconsider allowing to be part of your seedling setup is kittens, because they are very famous for knocking over and killing entire seed trays. Right, kitten? You want to destroy all of my plant babies. You want to knock them over and kill them, don't you? He doesn't have a very trustworthy face.